Hey, so this video's been a long time coming. I apologize. It's been a minute. I had to take a break. It was interview season. There was other stuff going on, but we're back and now I have to talk about residency, which is nuts. You know, back in like M1 and M2 year, residency was this vague thing that was going to happen when I was like basically 80 and it's here. So now we get to talk about it. I know usually it's like the stationary camera thing, but I'm not feeling it today. And we're just gonna do a little couch lounge talk. Drum roll. I guess the drum roll's unnecessary. Honestly, if you've been watching my videos for a while, especially the rotation recaps, you'll notice that you probably can guess what specialty I'm applying to. With no further ado, drum roll, that's not necessary. It's radiology, diagnostic radiology specifically. So that means that as long as I match, I'll be doing a preliminary year, a prelim, which can be internal medicine or surgery, or a transitional year, which is essentially a resident level rehash of M3 year, plus or minus like some other rotations and electives that you can take, depending on where you're at. So a year of prelim or TY, and then 4 years of your, quote unquote advanced program, in my case, diagnostic radiology. And then since most people do a fellowship, I'm thinking I'm gonna do IR. Definitely like the procedural aspects of radiology, so I'm leaning towards doing IR or maybe like body. Either way, most people in radiology do a fellowship, which is an extra 1 to 2 years depending on how you do it. And so I'm looking at a 6 to 7 years essentially more of training, which is, if I think about it. But the last 4 years went like kind of quick, so I'm doing it, so. But while we're on the topic of this kind of the career path in radiology, I want to talk about these prelim or TY years. If I could make one suggestion, if you're a program director and you're watching this, and I know some of you do because you told me so that you do, if you're an advanced program like DR, like I believe PM&R, dermatology, neurology, and maybe a couple others that I'm missing, where you have your advanced program, but everyone has to do a prelim or TY year beforehand. If you're a PD and you are not categorical, meaning your advanced program is not tied either in like a single application or like closely tied where they're just linked. If you don't have a linked / categorical, my question for you is, why are you like this? Why are you like this? Oh, it is so much easier as an applicant, less stressful as an applicant when you're working with categorical programs. I cannot stress this enough. Like, I know that there are probably administrative and other kinds of hoops to jump through in order to make your program categorical or like link your prelim or TY years with your advanced program. But please, for the love of Lady Gaga, please make it work, make it happen, because from like an applicant's point of view, it is much better if I want to match somewhere and knowing that I don't have to move twice if I match there. Like, no one wants to move twice in 2 years. No one wants to go to one side of the country for a prelim or TY and then to the other side of the country for the rest of their training and then potentially have to move again at the end of residency for fellowship. And yet every year there are people that do that, because at the end of the day, we as applicants, we can arrange everything nicely on our rank list that, to make sense logistically. But if your program's not categorical or linked, like the linked option isn't there, tough luck, up to whims of the algorithm. And even though applicants get favored, it's just way easier and better for the programs that are categorical, because then your residents are familiar with the system, the institution, the people working there, and all different departments. It's a win-win for everybody. Please, 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 please. If you have any sway over this at your institution and you're watching this, please, especially DR, make it categorical, because I understand like neurology, not that big of a problem. There's not a whole lot of places that are separate, but in radiology, big deal. At least for the places that I applied to and interviewed at, I can tell you right now, I definitely favored those that had categorical or very much like obviously linked, where I didn't have to do 2 separate interviews, 2 separate applications. I favored the categorical and linked ones way more in my ranking. Okay, rant over. I will go through the whole application process in way more detail after match day, so I can give like an A to Z rundown with 2020 hindsight vision on the whole thing. Anyway, though, it feels awesome at this point to feel really confident in my decision because I really think DR was the right choice for me, and I'll get into why in just a second. But it's also crazy to see how much more popular DR has gotten since the pandemic. Like, you look at the numbers and it's like 2020 hit and it went pew with the number of applications, and the competitiveness is just insanity. So that's scary and was definitely super stressful and nerve-wracking for me. So like, why did I choose it, right? It was very much like a slow burn situation. Sorry. Just my leg was going numb. I didn't go into med school with like preconceived notions of what I wanted to go into for sure. I wasn't dead set on anything. I just, over time, on rotations, realized that, hey, I tend to gravitate towards the radiologically interesting cases, and I tend to find myself trying to find ways to get into the reading room and hang out with the radiologists because I liked them. No shade to anyone else. Other than that, then, the more I learned about it, I was like, this is really cool. Radiology is so relied upon in pretty much every single specialty out there, and I was always so impressed with the crazy amounts of not just anatomical and physiological knowledge and clinical, despite some radiologists don't see patients a lot. You still have to retain a ton of plenty of clinical knowledge because you need that background in order to assess what you're looking at appropriately, right? There's that. But then you also have to bring back some basic sciences, some physics. You just keep up all this really, really, really broad knowledge base, no matter what subspecialty you go into, from what I've gathered. I love that. I'm not gonna ever worry about being bored. You have so much to constantly keep up on and read about, which as a student sounds a little bit daunting, but I know that that's gonna keep me engaged for the rest of my career. So it's a draw for me. It's positive for me. And one thing that's actually, fairly common for people to have interest in that are applying to radiology is like interest in the visual arts, which makes sense, right? And that translates in a lot of ways to radiology and why I like it. But the biggest thing, the thing that I love the most about radiology is the customizable amount of patient interaction, procedural work, and just like cerebral diagnostic reading studies work. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. Last thing is kind of like fun fact. I like to think that my exposure to radiology got started super, super early. My mom kicked it off actually because my mom worked as an x-ray tech, and she would bring me to her graveyard shifts and I would sleep in the break room. After she quit that job, she kept this big old manila envelope full of x-rays, like her craziest ones that she ever came across, and I would love when she flipped through those. I thought they were the coolest things in the world. Side note, what's crazy to me, really genuinely, it cannot fathom why more women are not in this field or going into it. As of right now, only 27 to 30% of DR residents are women. Only 25% of DR attendings are. And those numbers have not changed. Apparently, according to the American College of Radiology, those numbers have not changed since like the 1980s. What? Like, I don't understand this. And for IR, it's even worse because only 16-ish% of IR trainees and like literally 9 to 10% of active IR attendings are female. Like, what's the holdup? Girly pops, what are we doing? I know there's a lot of myths and like silly, spooky stories about radiology in general. For example, like a common one that people bring up is the worry about radiation exposure. This is a non-issue. A quick PubMed search will clear that up for you in 2 seconds. And then the classic trope, like, oh, you're a vampire basically, sitting in a dark room all day, no patient interaction. First of all, I am not Team Edward. I love my sunlight. Ask my mom. Also, please rewind and listen again to the reasons why I'm going into this field. Remember, one of the big ones, the customizability of your amount of patient interaction, your amount of procedural work, your amount of diagnostic reading studies work, all very flexible depending on where you're at, which subspecialty. Now, it's definitely true. There is a subset, a minority of radiologists who never want to see a live in-person patient ever again. They just want to do the diagnostic work and that's it. And that is totally fine. Now me, I don't know, because Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it feels like I am an introvert. And then like Tuesday, Thursday, and every other Saturday, it's like, no, bring on all the people. I want all the people. I want to talk to everyone, and I want to see every single patient that there is. Sometimes patients are great and I love being around them. And then maybe another day I just want to be at my standing desk with my piping hot dirty chai in one hand and my dictaphone on my other, with Tame Impala playing on the surround sound speakers in the moody twilight zone of the reading room with only my radiology nerd friends for company, and the only patients I'm seeing are on screen only. Sometimes that's all I want, right? And the beautiful part is radiology accommodates all that flexibility that I want. So there we go. We like busted some myths, which is good. Sorry, my other leg was going numb. So the main thing is though that I feel like I've found my people in radiology, and it has been confirmed throughout interview season, which just finished up, and my next video will be on that, how it went down, what I would do differently, the residency application process in general, and why the world of radiology is so obsessed with pickleball. These and other really important questions will be addressed in the next video. Thinking about match day being like a month away, less than a month away, makes me want to hit the nay-nay and also throw up like at the same time. So hopefully my IM sub-I, my internal medicine sub-I, starting in a couple of days, will distract me and keep me from doing either of those things. Thank you so much for sticking it out through the end of this super chaotic video. And if you did, let me know in the comments that you made it to the end and I will give you hearts. Yeah, that is about it. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and catch you next time.